After a massive controversy, one common medical exam for all medical aspirants, the government has ensured that the implementation of NEET is delayed by a year. After the cabinet passed the ordinance for its delay, President Pranab Mukherjee has now signed this ordinance to ensure NEET is implemented by next year, thereby overruling the Supreme Court's order to implement NEET from this year. While some students and parents will rejoice this decision, the future of over 6 lakh students is now in the dock with the ordinance being passed. The ordinance has been passed after the first phase of NEET was conducted on the 1st of May. There were 1,040 exam centers across the country, and the exam was conducted in 52 cities in which 6.67 lakh students wrote the exam. So the obvious question is, what happens to these students, and will their efforts for NEET go for a waste? So it's a tricky situation, a very complicated situation, in fact, for one to easily understand. While there's a set which feels that this is a good thing, a positive thing that has happened, as they would not have to suddenly change their course and appear for an examination which they had not prepared so far. There is another lot which has already appeared for this examination, and they feel that had this decision come a little earlier, they could have planned in a different way. Let's quickly go across to Anusha Soni, who joins us live from outside the Supreme Court. Anusha, this is significant at this moment because there is a huge bunch of students who feel that they will be relieved because of this particular ordinance. But what happens to the other lot? Can you please explain to us the technicality of this case?
Sanket, as you rightly pointed out, whether and to whom and to how many people this is going to be a relief or further chaos and confusion is a matter of perception. There is a bunch of people, there are a bunch of students who might feel that, the exams are going to be on the set pattern which was earlier, the state and the center different. There are, however, a completely different lot of people. Like I was recently speaking to the Resident Doctors Association across the hospitals in Delhi. These are currently the students at the MBBS and at the postgraduate levels. Now, most of these students feel that as soon as possible there should be a unified single entrance examination for the undergraduate medical examinations. Now, the reasons are manifold, as the Supreme Court had pointed out in its judgment, that there is a great degree of corruption, there is a great degree of complexity involved in the admission process, and it also involves a myriad of investments for the students at various levels. The sort of investments which are not justified, the capitation fees that they often talk about, which allegedly is also a scam which is going on, as many have been saying in the Supreme Court. Now, this matter, the ordinance has been cleared, but the petitioner before the Supreme Court in the matter is saying that he will go forward and challenge this ordinance before the Supreme Court of India. This is going to add to the legal hurdles, this is going to add to the uncertainty and chaos. In what form, in what time will this exam be conducted? Even if this exam is conducted, what is the certainty that the Supreme Court will not strike it down? So the legal hurdles will continue, and to whom is it a relief or a setback is a matter of perception.
Absolutely, it's a matter of perception. Let's quickly go across to Amit Kumar, who's a lawyer and a petitioner in this particular case. Mr. Kumar, what exactly do you think is the way forward legally, and how many students does this positively and negatively affect, this ordinance?
It affects almost all students who are taking the examination this year. The one test would have removed all difficulties. It would have introduced transparency, and you know that the state governments which have been exempted, we have got scams like VAPAM. We have got so many other irregularities in holding of the examination by state government. Therefore, the examination by CBSE would have been most transparent. It would have promoted the merit, and legally also, the executive could not have overridden the decision of the judiciary. The decision of the Honorable Supreme Court was final and binding on all parties, including the government. Government supported the NEET before the Honorable Supreme Court. Government never objected that NEET should not be implemented for this year. Government of India never sought exemption for the state from before the Honorable Supreme Court. Thereafter, government is taking U-turn and government is trying to exempt the state government, which is not correct, which is not legally permissible also. Government is not saying that the basis of the judgment of Supreme Court is not correct. What government is saying that it should not be implemented for a period of 1 year. That can't be done by the government by way of by the ordinance. And this kind of ordinance, to my knowledge, has never been issued in our history. Therefore, we will certainly challenge it, and we'll say that there should be one examination only.
That's true, but one of the reasons why this decision was prompted by the government was the fact that there were lakhs of students who had already prepared according to the old system, that is the state-specific boards for the medical tests. For them to suddenly switch to NEET would have been a little difficult.
No, if you see the syllabus of Gujarat State Board and also Maharashtra State Board, both the boards have clearly stated in their respective examination book material that it is based on NCERT. So it's not that the materials or the courseware were not known to the students. And as you are aware that 6.5 lakh students have taken AIPMT examination. And if you add the total number of students who are going to take the examination, they are not more than 9.5 lakh. That 9.5 lakh students. So therefore, that figure was already there before the Honorable Supreme Court, and all these objections, language, time, vernacular, all these issues were raised before the Honorable Supreme Court. Honorable Supreme Court heard each and every state from 27th, 28th of April to 9th May. And after considering all objections, it was dismissed. Thereafter, executive is saying, no, the decision will not be followed this year. See, this kind of ordinance will add confusion. It will add chaos. That is my view. And therefore, and this could not have been done. We have got separation of power, where the decision of the judiciary...
But you're saying you're going to challenge this ordinance?
Yes, we will certainly, because it is on the petition filed by Sankalp Charitable Trust, and which was represented by me. The Honorable Supreme Court passed the final order on 9th May. So therefore, we will certainly challenge it before the Honorable Supreme Court.
Now, thanks very much, Mr. Amit Kumar, for joining us at this moment. We also have Dr. K.K. Agarwal of the Indian Medical Association joining us. Dr. Agarwal, do you agree, or are you in agreement with Mr. Kumar over there, who says that such types of ordinance are actually going to create confusion among students?
No, it is not going to create confusion. What IMA wants is transparency and equality. And if the government has taken a stand for 1 year, as long as it is only for 1 year, and they don't pass an ordinance again next year, as long as the government and all the states can come out with a curriculum by this July so that the new batch takes over, I think in the justice of the people, if government has taken a stand only for the state examination, there is nothing wrong in it. As long as the private sector, which is where people blame it of corruption, and that gets completely under control. Now, this is a decision which government has to take, not only seeing Delhi, Maharashtra or Gujarat, but the national as a whole. And if this can sort out the vernacular language examination, this can sort out people's, there's nothing wrong, because instead of 90 exams, now they have to give only 2 exams, 1 state and 1 central. And from next year, but this ordinance has only value if the government makes sure that in the next 1 month, all the syllabus across the country in every state gets to a common language and a common syllabus and a common 11th and 12th CBSE syllabus. Otherwise, the government will come back after 6 months and say one more ordinance, and that should not happen.
Okay, so you're basically saying that this has come as relief as long as it only stays for a year and is not postponed even further.
The easiest way for the government to bypass anything is to bring an ordinance. This shouldn't happen that, like a MCI, they started with an ordinance under control and they continued with ordinance and continued it for 4 years. What makes government a surety that next year they will not bring a similar ordinance? That's the most important thing.
Okay.
So the most important thing is if it is an administrative decision, we are with it. If it is a political decision, then we are afraid next year again they may not come back.
Dr. Agarwal, what about those students who have already appeared for NEET? I think on the 1st of May there was an examination.
That is all right. The NEET is not for the state exam. This exam, state exam, is only for the state reserved seats. Okay. 85% of the seats are reserved for the state. That has nothing to do with the NEET. So if those people, state exams merit, if they are doing it separately for a year, the major objective of NEET was transparency and taking away the corruption at a national level of taking admissions with the cash money. If that goes away, see, I am not justifying government decision. I am only trying to say the government decision now has been taken. Ordinance has been passed by the president. Let people challenge that. Let the court decide. That's a separate issue. But my concern now is very clear that if it is for a 1 year, then no ordinance should be, no political decision should come back and say next year that we'll bring ordinance again.
Dr. K.K. Agarwal, many thanks for joining us with all the latest. That was Dr. Agarwal of the IMA saying that as long as this ordinance is only for a month, only for a year, then it's fine. But if the government keeps looking at this ordinance route, look for an escape route, then that is not justified. However, the petitioners in this case feel that there is an effort being made by the government to bypass what the Supreme Court has ordered, and this matter will be challenged in the Supreme Court once again. At stake is the future of many lakhs and lakhs of medical students who are appearing for these examinations, because their future is a bit uncertain. They don't know what exactly they need to prepare for.